Wow, what a year 2020 is wrapping up to be, and what a year 2021 will be. I'm just amazed how much I learned, how much we've gotten better. We were given a lemon this year. We're making lemonade, and also too, the vaccines are coming out next year. They look phenomenal. I'm so impressed. To me, these vaccines or development, it's like landing a man or woman on the moon. It only took a year. And what's really remarkable is that a lot of very smart and talented people have pulled their resources together, and the world's going to be a better place. They've done their safeties, their dose finding studies all in parallel instead of one after the other. So, 15 years of work has been done in 1 year to make this happen. And it reminds me is that we've made these webinars and they're getting better. I'll try to be briefer in 2021, but it's been a wonderful time. Lots of learning experiences, and I want to thank everybody for allowing us to participate in your care, hopefully make you a little bit healthier. And I'm learning technology thanks to these young people at McMaster. So I'm really anxious to learn what they have to tell us today again. So, and if you need help, we'll give you help. So let's hear some more, Stuart.
All right, so thank you, Doctor. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us, those who are joining live. Today we're talking about technology to maximize your health. As you know, we have to meet online these days to stay connected. But the remarkable thing about technology is that there are so many resources available to all of us to take care of our health. And so what we're going to be talking about today is all of the resources that are available to you so you can use technology to your advantage to take care of your own well-being. And the great thing about technology as well is it stays up, it's permanent. So if you ever need to look back, this is always going to be on our YouTube page, and you can always access it in the future whenever you need to look something over once or twice again. So Sonia, if you want to move over to the next slide, we're going to briefly just discuss some housekeeping rules. So those who are joining us on WebEx, what we always encourage is for you to turn on your cameras if you're comfortable. We love to see your face, whether you're having a meal with us, whether you're joining us at the table in front of the television, and we like to hear from you as well. So if you ever do have any questions, you're more than welcome to turn on your mic. All you have to do is click the little red microphone indication that you see on the screen here, and that will unmute yourself, and then you'll be able to ask your question. You can also click this button right here to turn on your video so that we can see your face. Now, for those who are joining on YouTube, if we go on to the next slide, we unfortunately can't see your face, we can't hear you, but what we can do is we can hear what you have to say. You can always just chat in the chat function. So when the slide shows up, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. On the next slide, there's a little feature where you can just type in any questions you have. And I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the presentation so that if you ever do have any questions, I'll be able to bring them up while we're presenting, and we can discuss those together. Now, as you can see right here, the unfortunate thing about technology is sometimes it's not always nice with us. Sometimes slides freeze up on us, and that's okay. So as soon as we get the opportunity, we'll move on to the next slide. There we go. So this is what we were talking about, the YouTube page right here. So if you're on your YouTube, you can always just type right there where it says say something, and you can let us know of any questions that you may have. Now, if we're able to go on to the next slide, you will be able to see our YouTube page right here. So this is what it looks like. If you were joining us on YouTube, it means that you were able to find your way there. But those who are joining us on WebEx, all you have to do to find us on YouTube is you need to type in Greg Kernew on the YouTube search bar, and you'll see the first account that shows up is a young picture of Greg right there. And once you click on that, you'll be able to go to our page. And our page is organized into a number of different playlists. Playlists are just mini series of different topics that we discuss. And you can click on any video that is of interest to you, and you can watch them on your own time. So we'll always be able to help you as well. Sanya has done a fantastic job throughout the semester of helping our patients navigate and find our YouTube page, set up accounts. And that's really what today's presentation is all about. It's how to use technology to your advantage. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Sanya, who's going to break down what we'll be discussing today in our webinar.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
So before we get started, I want to thank, first of all, Stuart for his hard work, and also Samia and our whole team for all this, because without these young people, we wouldn't be here, or we would be here at a much slower pace. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my name is Sonia, and I'm joined today by my fellow health technology volunteers as well. We've got Nicholas, Stephanie, as well as Frank and Mira joining us today. And we'll be talking to you, as Stuart mentioned, about technology. So these are some of the topics that we're going to be covering today. For starting off with accessing how to access your results online, including lab results from LifeLabs and Dynacare. And we're moving on a little bit to how to navigate social media, which has been a really crucial part of a lot of our lives these days, especially as we move into sort of staying at home and being a lot more isolated than we usually are. And then we'll end off today with talking a little bit about apps that will help you with exercise, mindfulness, and nutrition. And then looking at some of more advanced devices such as Fitbit and Apple Watch and what those have to offer for us as well. So we'll start off with how to access lab results online. So when you come in for your appointments, you often are probably used to getting blood requisitions to get your blood work done. And one of the places that you can go to get your blood work done is LifeLabs. And so the neat thing about technology is nowadays you're actually able to access your results online and really see your own different levels of what came out from the report. This is really important because you're really able to stay informed that way about how you're doing in terms of your cholesterol or your sugar levels, etc. And so it's really crucial that you know how to access this information so you can better discuss this with Dr. Kearney and your families to go about changing your lifestyle appropriately. So just to reiterate about what LifeLabs is, they've got a bunch of testing that they offer, including genetic, naturopathic, heart monitoring, etc. And when you do get your blood requisition form, you'll be able to see what testing you need to get done. And if you ever have any questions about that, you are welcome to ask Dr. Kearney or any of the other volunteers at that point. But what we're going to go through today is, like my team and I will just take you through sort of how to go onto LifeLabs and make an account and actually see your results. So the first step is to go onto lifelabs.com. So you would type this into your search browser. And the first thing that you can do is click the button that's called Find the Location. So if you can see my cursor over here, it'll be at the top box near the left-hand region. And so once you do that, what LifeLabs, the website, will do is it'll take you to a page similar to this right-hand side, which will let you choose a location nearest to you. And you can also enter your address or your city or your postal code in it and click Find. And also click any other requirements you might have, such as certain hours of the day or certain testing conditions that you would like. And LifeLabs will then filter out all the locations that are near you to suit those needs that you have identified through a big map. And so that is if you wanted to find a location and actually go into the LifeLabs itself and get your testing done. Now, to register for an account for LifeLabs, you would want to go onto the same website. So you would type in lifelabs.com. And essentially you would click the See My Results tab at the very top. You'll see it in red over here. And this is on the home page of the LifeLabs. So as soon as you type in lifelabs.com, you'll go on and click See My Results. The next thing you can do is you can either sign in if you already have an account, or you can register for an account. So what we're going to show you today is how to register for a new account, assuming that you don't already have one. So you would click on the Register Now button, and essentially it'll take you to a page where you can create an account. So you would enter in your email address and create a password, and they might also have specific instructions on what your passwords should look like in terms of letters and numbers and that kind of thing. If you don't already have an email address, I would urge you to go onto our YouTube channel and check out a video we actually have about how to create an email. I think emails are another excellent way for you to communicate with your families and your loved ones, and they're often really required for a lot of the applications we'll be talking about today. So do check that out under the Greg Kearney YouTube channel. But after you've clicked create an account, you'll essentially go into your account profile, and LifeLabs will ask you to fill out some other information, such as your preferred language and other security security items such as your name, your city, your postal code. So you want to fill out all this necessary information in, including your address, your phone number, and your date of birth. And you'll essentially hit next for the next section. And then we'll move on to the security settings. So usually you'll notice even when you are creating email addresses or with a lot of technology sort of applications, is they'll ask you security questions. And what these security questions do is they're really there for you in case you forget your password. These questions you're able to customize, and they can be usually personal. An example would be like, what is your mother's maiden name, for example, and you'll be able to type your customizable answer in. So these security questions are really important in case you forget your password or just to have an extra security layer for all your accounts. And this is something that you'll see often in a lot of technology applications, which is why I'm explaining it in a little bit more detail. But you're going to do this for LifeLabs as well and essentially create 2 custom questions along with whatever answer that you would like to give to those questions, and make sure they're questions that you will remember the answer to eventually later on. And they've usually got a bunch of options for you to choose from in terms of what questions you can actually pick. And you're also able to create your own questions if you prefer that instead. So you can see some examples here on the slide about different custom questions you can make. And the next thing you'll do is you'll create a security phrase, very similar to the questions, but something that only you will know in case you are locked out or in case you want to access, and click next. And then LifeLabs will just show you a terms of use that you can go ahead and read as well. And finally, you would go ahead, accept the terms and conditions, and create your account. And then verify that you're not a robot, of course. So the next step is to verify your account, and this is done through your email inbox. So again, very common with a lot of websites, a lot of accounts you'll sign up for. Once you make the account, they will send you a verification link in your email. So all you need to do is click on that email account confirmation link, and the website will automatically sync it and know that it's actually you who's made the account, and it'll just be an extra layer of confirmation for them. And so these are the steps then you take to complete your registration afterwards. So just summarizing it again, we're going to our account settings, and you can also add or remove registrations. And you can add other individuals as well if you would like them to access your account. And then you would essentially save all your lab visit info at the end in order to complete that registration process. So an important note about this is that you need to make sure that the information you're entering in for your account is the same as what is in the file in the lab. So you want to make sure that they're the same so that they are able to sync your results appropriately and kind of make sure the information is getting to where it needs to go. And finally, once you've done your lab testing, you can go on, click See My Results at the top again, and you'll be able to access them that way. The other thing we'll go over quickly is just how to book an appointment with LifeLabs. So it's very similar. You essentially go onto the lifelabs.com website, and you would click Book an Appointment at the top here. And you have a couple of different options. You can register for an account, which would take you back to sort of the first process we just went over, or you can book an appointment or manage your appointments if you already have an appointment made previously. And the same pattern again, it'll ask you for a location near you, specific hours or test locations that you have, so you can customize that towards yourself. And you'll be able to pick the location that is most convenient to you. And it'll also tell you how far away it is and all their different hours as well for your ease there too. And so if you have special tests that need to be booked by phone, you're also able to do that through the external booking system. So in here, you'll have the patient instructions you can see for different tests. It does vary also depending on location. So this is where you're able to kind of go into that external booking system to book those special tests that are a bit less common. And do make sure that you are reading the instructions for the tests carefully, and just making sure that these are there for your test to be as successful and as accurate as possible. So do pay attention to those patient instructions that are given. And it'll take you to a calendar where you'll be able to pick your date and your time, as well as see which appointments are available through different icons, which you can see here with the X meaning no appointments and then the check mark meaning that there are available times. And essentially you would log into your account or create a new account so that LifeLabs can sync your appointment with your actual account. And you can do this, it'll take you to the next step, as you can see would be the account tab there. And if you're logging in, you would just type in your email and your password here. And then the final step would be to confirm, and that would just be confirming your booking appointment, your time and location. And other than that, you're good to go. And the last thing we'll talk about in terms of LifeLabs is how to book online to save time. So they actually have a system called Save My Spot, which you can actually do in order to reduce some of the wait time you might experience when you're there for testing. And so the process to this is very similar, but instead of clicking book an appointment, you would actually click check in online, which is also on the home page. And again, you would enter in the location of your appointment, and it'll give you the options there. And so you'll see here, last we just mentioned, you would click book an appointment, but this time you would click save my spot. And what that does is LifeLabs it'll be as if you were in person checking in where they take all your information previously. This will just make sure that you're doing it at home, and it kind of saves you that waiting time, because what it does is it actually gives you an estimated wait time. So for example, this says 0 minutes, in which case you would be quite lucky, but usually if it says 10, 15, 30 minutes, then you know to sort of leave your house and head towards LifeLab in that amount of time. So that's a little bit of a more convenient way to get your testing done. And I'll pass it over to Stephanie, who will be talking a little bit about Dynacare.
So I want to remind you that for some people this is really easy. For some of us, it's much harder. And the whole team will help you. So some people will call you all the way from Vancouver, or on weeknights, weekdays. And we want to make this easier because I get stuck every day. I can't tell you how many times I get help, and I'm really enjoying all this technology, but it's also frustrating too as well. And but we're getting better at this. So at the end is that anybody who wants to get help, you can just put in your name, you can send it in, you can email us to drkernew@232gmail.com, which is our home email address where everything goes through Jen at the front desk and she can sort things out. Speak to any of the people that call you up on the phone. I just learned something today, for instance, is that someone can actually send you a link to a video on our YouTube site. I didn't know that. But I learned that. We're also going to, at the end, we'll talk a little bit about Medio. So I don't think we have anything planned about that, but I want to just say a few words about that too as well, because our technology is changing. And we're going to be using email better, probably online booking as time goes on, and actually we're going to zoom into your house if you want at some point in time, and we can have a face-to-face chat on a video conference, call it secure. So we're learning, and we're all making mistakes, we're all having fun about this, but we're all getting better. So let's get better together, and don't be afraid to ask your questions. And if it doesn't make sense, ask. So use your friends, neighbors, and also we'll be glad to help in any way we can.
Cool. Well, yeah, so now we're going to go on to Dynacare if you guys don't want to go with LifeLabs. Dynacare is the next biggest lab work company here in Canada, or Ontario at least. So here is the link to take you to their homepage. And once you're at their homepage, the process of kind of viewing your results is similar to LifeLabs in that you have to make an account first. So you can click login. And if you don't have an account, you can click create an account. And their registration process is kind of divided into 3 parts. So this is the first part. It's your account information. So you would input your email address, create a password, and just like with LifeLabs, you can create 2 unique security questions that you can see on the next slide. And then once you're done with that, you can click on to next to go to the next step for signing up. and that is entering in your personal information. So here, they're basically going to match your identity to your health records. So you're going to want to put in your government-issued name, your date of birth, phone number, postal code, and optionally, if you have one, you're going to want to put in a Dynacare Plus PIN. This is kind of an ID that they'll give you if you recently visited the clinic, just to kind of match you to any pre-existing health records that you might have. If you don't have one though, that's totally cool. You can click on to next. So step 3 isn't shown just because I couldn't access and screenshot that, but step 3 is basically purchasing a membership to Dynacare Plus. So that's the one big difference between viewing your results on Dynacare and viewing them on LifeLabs. Right now, I believe it's $10 per year, but regularly it's $20 for the year, and if you're over 60, then it's $15 per year. So once you've purchased that, you can kind of check your email. They'll send you an activation email to verify your ID. And once you're done that, your Dynacare Plus account has officially been activated. Now, before you can actually access your health records, and before Dynacare Plus can access your health records, they need to verify your identification. And this is a one-step process, so you just have to do it once. And you can use either of these two options listed here. So in person, you can go to the lab for lab work or participate in one of their health and wellness programs. And in doing so, you're going to receive a Dynacare Plus PIN, and you can kind of just input that and they'll match it to you. Optionally, you can do digital verification. So if you don't have a PIN, you can access your health records by going to the site verified.me and accessing your health records there. After that, once you have fully activated your account and verified your ID, you can go back to that home page and click login. And now that you have a login ID, you can just input your info and you'll be in there. So these are kind of screenshots from an iPad, but it's pretty similar to what you'll be seeing on if you access it through the web. And basically, you're going to be taken to the My Lab Test Results section. All of your lab reports will be available in your account within 3 hours of Dynacare having received the results in their system. And if you selected to have email updates from them, a notification can be sent to your email to kind of tell you, hey, your lab reports are available, you can check them out now. So yeah, you can kind of see the list of things. You can see a page where it's all the reports, and there's another page where it's like one report and your overview of your results, and then if you click into one of the tests, you can kind of see it more in depth. So yeah, and you can also download and print your lab results if you wish. So yeah, and it may be noted that your lab report also includes just all diagnostic tests ordered by your physician, but certain tests, they can only be obtained by communicating with your healthcare provider, even if the result is just normal. So here you can see that they do have an app if you want to access it through your cell phone or iPad. It seems to have a lot of cool additional features in addition to just viewing your results online. So for example, they'll kind of track and trend your lab results over time for you, and they can also track the progress of your health or any health goals that you might have. And they'll also offer you any like tips and information to inspire you to live a healthy lifestyle. And yeah, so this is the general overview of it. So signing up and verifying your ID, and then accessing your results, and optionally downloading the app for their cool additional features. And then again, just for any additional information, if you ever have any questions, you can go to their FAQ page here. Their contact number is also included there. So yeah. We will be moving on to getting social media now.
So I have a question. So one of the things today, we had a patient or a couple that they had their blood work done, and we tried to download through our system called OLIS, and it recognized them, but it came up blank. It's kind of interesting. They had the blood work done, so they're going to have to go back to, I forget it was Dynacare or LifeLab, and go directly themselves. So Our system is not foolproof, don't always get it, but so this gives you the ability for technology so you can have the results. Because sometimes I just can't get it, and no fault of anybody, technology fails. So we need multiple ways of looking at this. So I'm looking at my computer right now, and Sonia, there's a person you're going to call afterwards who's having trouble hooking up to a printer. Now, a lot of people have an email, but they don't actually have a printer. So what are the options when you don't have a printer? What can you do to if you want to print out a requisition form or some way about that? Can you offer some solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely understandable when individuals don't have printers. It can be hard to sort of keep a record of that item. But other options, if you don't have a printer, would be, well, if you're looking at it from more of a technology standpoint, if you're looking at something that you're doing on a computer or you're looking at it through your phone, for example, or an iPad, you can actually take a screenshot of that image, and what it does is it creates sort of a digital image for you. So it's the same as what you would get when you would print it, but it's just the copy is online. And by taking a screenshot, you're able to save that image into your photos. You can also send it to, for example, other individuals, whether it's by email or through other messaging systems. And so it depends on what device you're using in order to take the screenshot, but I know on computers you can do that with a snipping tool, for example, or if your computer already has an inbuilt one. That's kind of the digital way that I kind of see at printing so on so as. It's just a way of saving sort of an electronic copy, just so you don't have to go in and log in every single time. So I would recommend doing something like that. Alternatively, some lab sort of websites also have the option of saving your report as a PDF. So I know this is something that LifeLabs has as well. So when you go in and you click results and you see your report, you should see a small download button, and this will essentially save that report as a file in your computer. And this would be only if you're doing it on a computer, not so much if you're using sort of a phone or a tablet. But by saving it as PDF, again, very similar, you're able to send that PDF by email or through other messaging systems to other individuals, and you'll have a copy of it sort of forever. So for those of you who are really wanting to get into the sort of the tech world, you can even create folders in your computer with different sort of tracking different lab dates and results. And we can definitely help you sort of navigate organizing that, and you can continue to save your reports as PDFs there. Not sure if anybody else on my team has any other suggestions.
So there's a couple of things to know, because right now we're sending you a requisition form on Medjo. So we're going to actually send you the ability to actually, instead of printing out a lab requisition form at our clinic, we can actually email it to you. So the problem is people don't always have printers. So your choices are, I just found this out yesterday, and correct me if I got this wrong, is that you can actually hook up a printer to your cell phone, to your iPad, and to your computer. And if you don't know how, we'll show you how. So I didn't realize that my phone can actually print. Didn't learn that. You can do that. The other thing too is that you can go to a place like Staples or other places like that. And if I go to Staples, for instance, where can I go to get something printed? What do I have to do?
Absolutely. So usually stores like Staples, even Walmart, other big stores like that will have a separate printing sort of office or section that you can go to, and essentially you would just let them know what file you would like to print. And if you have a USB, you can put the file on the USB. But if you don't, they usually have computers available there for you to actually log in, and you can print it through their machine. So they usually charge you by paper, I believe, but if you're just printing like one page, it's not too expensive. But yeah, any local stores, even public libraries nowadays have a printing section. So if you have a library nearby, you'll be able to print from their computer as well, and have a copy that way too.
And you can also send it to a friend, your parents, next door neighbor. So there's so many ways of solving this, and so the bottom line is that you should know your results. You should have copies of your results. And Dynacare, for about $10 a year, offers that. LifeLabs offers this for no charge. The charge of $10 I don't think is very much. They're secure, as best as security can be. And I think that's wonderful how the world's transformed itself. So So here's some solutions. Thank you so much for sharing that. And don't forget, later you have Rose wants to hear from you how to hook up her phone to a printer there. So she's looking forward to your call later on tonight.
She's on my list. We'll move on to sort of navigating social media, and I'll pass it over to Mira now.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about kind of the strong points of social media and how it can work to connect us, as well as setting up 2 accounts, so one on Facebook and one on Twitter, and kind of the main features of that. So looking to the strengths of social media, on the next slide, one of the main strong points is that it can keep us connected between friends and family members. You can also keep up to date with like news stories, and you can also keep up to date with us at the clinic with our social media accounts, news articles that we're sharing, as well as links to any webinars that we have. So the first social media that we're going to setting up an account on is Facebook. Until the images load so you can get a nice view of that. Yeah, so the first step is to go to facebook.com and you can enter your email and password and log in if you already have an account. But for us, we're going to talk about the process of creating a new account. So hit that green button. And what you're going to get is a quick sign up in one step. You're going to enter your first and last name, your phone number or email, a password, and your birthday. And then after that, you're going to hit sign up. And then the next step that you're going to do is check your email. So Facebook is going to send you a confirmation email just to make sure that it's actually you that set up the account and that there's nothing fishy going on. If you put your phone number in for Facebook, it will send you a confirmation text, and then you can input the code that they sent you through via that text. And that's the process of setting up an account. Very simple. So setting up your profile, we're going to talk about 4 steps. Adding a profile picture, adding friends, posting a status, and posting photos. So for your profile picture, this is just to show any of your friends and family who you are, and just kind of like showing your face on your profile, matching up the face to the name. So if you look at the top right-hand corner, it's going to say your name, and if you click on that, it goes to your personal profile. You're going to see an empty space for profile picture as soon as you set up your account, and you can click on that and hit update profile picture. Then what you can do from that is select a photo from your computer file of yourself or of really anything, and then upload it to Facebook so you can use it as a profile picture. Just above that, you can also add a cover photo. So that's kind of like the background of your Facebook account. Usually people put pictures of nature or like general background pictures over there. So you can also add a cover photo if you want. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is adding friends. So if you go to the top left-hand corner, there is a search bar, so you can search the name of your friends, and then you can click on add friend when their profile shows up, and that will send them a friend request that they have to confirm. So people can send you friend requests too, and you're going to get them on the bell icon, which is at the top right-hand corner. And then at that point, you have the option to confirm or deny it. Confirm means that you're going to become friends and they can see your full profile, and deny means that you don't want them to be your friend. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is posting statuses. So these are kind of like your thoughts, anything that's on your mind, anything that you want to share to all of your friends and family on Facebook. So if you go to your main home screen, which will be a home icon at the top part of your bar, you're going to see something that says what's on your mind, and over there you can chat about anything that you want. You can also add photos and videos by clicking on the photos and videos if you want to attach that, and you can also add emojis by looking at the face icon at the bottom of what's on your mind. And posting photos is very similar, so you just hit photo and video and you don't put any text with that. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is messaging people. So at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see a chat, and then all of your friends' names on there. So you can click on their name, and that's going to open up a chat window with them. And then you can send them a direct message that will go only to them on their Facebook account. And if you click chat, you can also add multiple people to the chat by typing in their names as well. And then that will form a group chat, so any message that you send to them will be sent to everybody, and then everybody's response, you can also see that. So our clinic has a life group on Facebook. So if on Facebook you search up at Dr. Kurnu, it will show our Facebook page, and what we share there is any new insights onto your heart health so you can learn more, and also links to our webinars. You can see here the two videos that we posted, one on congestive heart failure, YouTube link to that, and the second one, video about managing your chronic pain.
Absolutely. Just to hop in here and add on, we post a video every Wednesday, and those are more shorter videos that our workshop teams are working hard on, and they range from a variety of different topics, from fitness to congestive heart failure to cooking club. And so they're really great ways for you to engage right from your home and learn about all these different topics. And you'll see that in our Dr. Greg Kearney's Life group. And the other thing that we do is every Friday nights, as those of you who are joining now will know, we have our live webinars happening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll always post the link to the webinars there as well. So if you're looking to sort of stay active on Facebook and you would rather join our webinars through that, you'll be able to see our YouTube live stream links there and a little description about what the video is on. And then another thing we'll also wanted to mention here was that you'll see at the bottom of the post there's options to like, to comment, and share. And so we'd really encourage you to take videos of those options and let us know your feedback, whether you enjoyed a video, what was your favorite part, maybe what you learned a little bit about from. And if you wanted to, you can even share the video. So by sharing it, it can go directly on your profile so that all of your friends are able to then stay in touch and see that video. Or as Mira mentioned, you can actually share it privately to your friends in the chat function. And this would just be a great way for you to spread some awareness about what you've learned with your family and your loved ones, and really work together towards those health goals that you are working so hard on to create. So yeah, please be sure to check us out on Facebook there as well.
So to me, this is wonderful. So I get the feedback that I'm too long-winded, I talk too much, I got it. But saying that there's lots of concepts of health, and the Friday ones are long ones. They're getting shorter, but they'll still be of length. And the good thing is you can see them at any point in time. They're bookmarked to different parts. You can go see different parts. So for instance, this first part is how to use LifeLabs, and we have actually at least 3 different webinars where we actually talked about that. So if you know that, you do that well, you can actually skip that part, you can fast forward that part. What I also know is that most of us will forget 80% of what we learn, including myself. So I go back and forth, and there is now good science is the best way to learn. You have to see things in multiple ways, multiple times. You need the ability to chat and to digest. So this is one way of doing it, and so use it. And don't forget to record it. And also the group on Wednesdays, because they block me out, is that they make them short and concise, and so you get some summaries of that. One of the things that we're planning for 2021 is that we're going to give some quicker summaries of all the major webinars that we do afterwards. So I hear you want things shorter. I want things well done, time for discussion as well. So we'll have a longer one and a shorter one, and we'll keep working on this. So that's your feedback. So give us feedback, and we'll keep working about this.
Absolutely. Next, we'll move on to Twitter, and if Mira wants to get started on that, I will pull the slides up as soon as I can.
Absolutely, thank you. So the process of setting up a Twitter account is very similar to Facebook. But the main difference between those two platforms is that Twitter is more text-based, so you're going to see like more sentences, more written thoughts, whereas Facebook does both text and images. Also, Twitter has a character limit for their posts, which are called tweets, and that's 280 characters, which is very short compared to Facebook, where you can put long paragraphs of your thoughts. So the first step to setting up a Twitter account is going to twitter.com, and you can click login, which is the bottom button if you already have an account, but right now we're going to talk about signing up. So that's the big blue button on top. And then you're going to get a pop-up that says create your account. So you enter all of your information, your name, your phone number, or you can use your email instead, and your date of birth. So for your name, that could be your actual name, or you can create a Twitter handle or a username that doesn't relate to your name at all. So it's completely your choice, and unlike Facebook, it doesn't have to be like your actual name. And then when you hit next...
I got a question for you. So you can have more than one Twitter account or more than Facebook account. Is it always linked to one email? So if I put my email in, let's say I made a Twitter account 5 years ago and I forgot about it, or did I make one? And so how does that happen? How do you find out if you already have an account or not, or if it exists, or it's deleted, or what do you do about that?
So if you forgot your password, one thing that you can do is you can click login and then type in your username for that, and there should be a button that says forgot password, and that will send it to the original email that you signed up for that account with, and that will give you a link to reset your password. Yeah, and that will be also the process of checking if the account still exists. But one thing that you can do with Twitter is that if you have like multiple different email addresses, you can sign up for multiple different accounts. So if you want to create a new account, start from scratch, you can use a different email.
Yeah, perfect. To add on to what Mira just mentioned, the process of forgetting, sort of clicking forget your password. I know a lot of individuals, a lot of patients will sort of talk to me about this, especially, and this doesn't just go for Twitter, it's really for everything, like whether it's email address, Facebook, YouTube accounts. A lot of times with technology, because we're making so many accounts all the time, it's pretty easy to forget your password, and I know I've done it a lot of times myself. So when Mira just described about clicking forgot your password, is a really easy and neat way for you to retrieve your account back. And I usually recommend individuals to do this step first before they go on to make a new account. I know some people, you may feel a little bit frustrated, like you've forgotten your password, you don't know what to do, and you might go on and make a new account altogether, which is fine. It's also another option for sure, but it just sort of adds to your pile of accounts, and you're just kind of using your email. If you use your email once, sometimes the website won't let you use it again to make an account. So really, really good tip is to always click forgot your password, and the website should be able to redirect you to retrieve that. And if you ever need help, obviously we're totally here to help you out with that process as well.
Thank you. Yeah, forgetting your password is definitely something that happens to me a lot, so it's very important to talk about the process of retrieving it. So when you type in all of your information, you check your email, you click on the link in that confirmation email to confirm your account. The next step is that you can go back to Twitter, and you're going to pick a profile picture. So it's the same process as Facebook. You can upload a photo from your computer of yourself or of anything. And then the next step that Twitter is going to prompt you to do is describe yourself. So you can write a fun bio about who you are, anything that you want to share. You can also, at the top right-hand corner, you can click skip for now if you don't know what to say and you want to come back to it later. And the next thing that you can do is, if you look at the top right-hand corner, you can use the search Twitter bar to find topics and accounts to follow. So if you just want to search a general topic, just like search a keyword for that, for example, heart or exercise or something like that. But if you want a specific account to follow, you can search their handle or their username. For example, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the test account username, which is test29 something something something. If you wanted to find that account specifically, you would type in that test29 number. And then another thing that you can do is write a tweet. So on the previous slide, if you see I believe it said what's on your mind or something, or what's happening. If you click on that, you can type out your thoughts. Remember, there's a 280 character limit, which is really not a lot. And then you can see the circle icon at the bottom right that shows you your progress and how close you are to that 280 character limit. And you can also add photos, which is the bottom left icon of a mountain, any GIFs or emojis. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is interacting with tweets. So just how you can share and like things on Facebook, you can also do similar things on Twitter. So moving from the left to the right on the bottom of this tweet from Dr. Kurnu, the bottom icon is, the bottom leftmost icon is replying. So it's the same process as typing out a tweet, but you'll respond to that tweet specifically, so still has that 280 character limit. The one beside that is retweet. So what it's going to do is it's going to show this tweet on your profile. So it's the same process and it's the same thing as sharing on Facebook, but it goes to all of your followers. The next thing is liking it, just showing your support for that tweet. And the last one is sharing. So it's going to show you a link to the tweet that you can copy and send it by email or send it by text to anybody that you want to share the tweet to.
So, Mira, so if I wanted to say, I really like this webinar on holiday eating. I want to keep a record of that. What's the best thing to do? Should I just put retweet and so it goes on my Twitter account, or if I had a Facebook, or what's the best way of bookmarking this? What do I have to do for bookmarking this for future use?
Yes, I would suggest retweeting it because then it shows up on your profile and then you can go back to it later. If you also click share tweet, you can find a link to it and then put that on a Facebook status. You can also keep the link for future use so that you can go back to it later.
Another thing I'd add is I know Facebook has this feature where you can actually save the post itself, and I know that's something I usually do as well, just to kind of review any videos or articles that I want to watch later. So with Facebook, when you go on your home feed, there's 3 buttons on the sort of top right hand corner of every post, and in there you'll be able to click save post, and there's a place in your Facebook on the left hand side where you can actually click, it'll say saved, and you can click that and you'll be able to see any videos, any articles that you've saved. And I personally find that a really useful, quick way to kind of go back to things and bookmark them as well, to just add on to what Mira mentioned here.
So remember, I want people to have dinner with us. So I'm having my vegetables and my dip tonight. I would share some for you, but I'll just do electronically today and enjoy everybody. So please enjoy. Thank you for everybody.
What Sonia mentioned was definitely a wonderful way to share or save posts on Facebook. That's definitely very useful. So our Twitter account on Twitter is at Dr. Greg Kurnu. So if you type that in the search bar, you can find us and find all of our tweets about our webinar links and any fun, interesting heart facts that we want to share. Yeah, so this is a screenshot of our profile. If you search at Dr. Greg Kurnu, you'll be able to see our profile, and this is what it looks like.
Okay, so we'll move on a little bit to apps now and talk a little bit about that. So apps are something that's a really great way for you to kind of build on the health goals that you already have, and sort of use them to facilitate towards those goals and to really track your progress and see how you're doing. So today we're going to cover a couple of different kinds of apps. We've got some about exercise, some about mindfulness, that we're going to take a look at. But before we get into that, I'm just going to quickly go over the process of downloading apps. So applications, or apps for short, are something that you can have in your phone, whether you have an iPhone or Android or any other type of device. For Apple users, you'll be able to download them through the App Store, which is the icon you see on the left-hand side here. And for Android users, you'll be able to download them through the Play Store, which is very similar, and that you can see on the right-hand side over here. And the process I'm going to show is going to be for Apple users, but again, if you ever have any questions and you want some one-on-one help with that, we're always able to chat with you afterwards about your specific device as well. So in terms of the apps, you'll go on to the App Store, which you'll see in your home screen, right over here again, the blue icon if you have an iPhone. And you'll open up sort of this page here, and you'll see a bunch of different tabs at the bottom. You'll see search, updates, apps, and games, etc. So what you can do is you can search for specific apps if you would like, and you would just click on that magnifying glass at the bottom, or you can browse sort of what the top apps are these days, or any different types of games that you're looking into playing, and that will just show up on the right hand side that you can see here a list of the different apps. And so again, the blue icon, we're going to go into search, and then we can type in the app name that we would like to download. So, for example, one app that we're going to talk about later is Headspace, which is a mindfulness app. So let's say I typed in Headspace, you'll be able to see the app pop up, and there will be a small button on the side that will say Get. And essentially what that's letting you do is just, you would click that to download the app into your phone. I will say here that there are some apps that do cost some money, so make sure that you are aware whether the app is free or not. So usually if the app does charge anything, this is where you'll see the price listed, but in this case Headspace is free to download, and so therefore you just see that Get item there. And so when you're downloading it, your phone will just ask you for your password to your Apple ID, and you'll be able to download the app that way.
So let's say I can't remember what the app's called. Can I just put? I know it's do meditation or mindfulness. Can you just search that way, or how can you figure things out?
Absolutely. So if you don't know the specific name of the app you're looking, you can definitely search up general topics. So you can search up meditation or mindfulness. In this case, it actually shows you a couple different apps for that thing. So it shows you Headspace, it shows you Calm, which is another mindfulness app, and you're actually able to go through and look at the different descriptions of the apps, maybe look at some features they have, and that way you can kind of choose an app that caters towards you. Same thing goes for if you're looking for a fitness app, for example, or something to track your diet or your nutrition. You can type those general terms in, and it'll be able to kind of filter out and give you the most relevant results, kind of if you were doing a little Google search. So, great question. That would be the way to navigate that. So a lot of times I also get the question about Apple IDs, which I know can be very confusing sometimes. So when you're downloading apps, you do require an Apple ID. And so you can think of the Apple ID as sort of an email address made for, I guess, Apple or iPhone specifically. And so with Apple IDs, it really just lets you have access to their app store, and it's kind of a security method for you to be able to download them well. So if you don't already have an Apple ID, this is usually something that you set up when you are setting up your phone from the very first day. But in the case that you skip that step or you don't have an Apple ID, you will not be able to actually download apps from the App Store. So to check this, you would want to go into the settings of your phone, which is a gray icon with a little gear button. And you would see all these different options here, and you want to click the one that says iTunes and App Store. So you've got a phone right now and you want to follow along, please feel free to pull out your phone and we can walk through it together now as well. But essentially you're going to go into your settings, click iTunes and App Store, and if you have an Apple ID set up, you'll see your ID here. But this is a screenshot for if you don't have one. And so in that case, you want to create an Apple ID. You can click the create option here, or you can sign in if for some reason you have one and you're just not signed in. And again, we've got that option. If you've forgotten your Apple ID or your password, you can click that and retrieve it if you're just not sure about your account. So do make sure that you sort of go through this process before you download the app, just so you know and can troubleshoot in case you run into any issues. So settings, App Store, and then looking at the Apple ID. So this is again process of setting up the Apple ID. So we're clicking create new Apple ID here, and it'll ask you for things like your birthday, your first and last name, and then it'll ask you what email you want to use for your Apple ID. So if you already have an email set up with Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or Outlook or whatever it might be, you can use that same email as your Apple ID email. So it's not like you're creating a whole nother email. It's just a way of creating an Apple account that already uses an existing email. But you do have the option to create a free email address from Apple themselves if you prefer that as well. So you can enter in the email address that you use on a regular basis, enter in your password, and again, we've got that security question that we've talked a little bit about previously, and that is how you would make your Apple ID there. So yeah, that's kind of the process of downloading apps and the confusion that I know can be Apple IDs. Again, if you ever have any questions with that, we're really happy to walk you through it one-on-one through a call or on FaceTime and explain all those features personally to you as well. But we'll head on into our section about apps. So the first app we're going to be talking about is one about mindfulness, which is called Headspace. So I'm super excited to talk about this app because I've used it and I've had really great experience from it. Especially in times like now, where things are always moving, always dynamic, and we've all experienced perhaps a lot of stress and anxiety with staying inside. I find that Headspace is an excellent way to get into meditation and really focus on increasing your self-awareness and sort of establishing a stronger sense of self. And so Headspace is an app that focuses on three main pillars. So the biggest one is on guided meditation, but they've also got features about sleep support as well as healthy living and movement. And I personally have used this for meditation, and it sort of has all these different guided breathing exercises and other sessions and techniques that they walk you through. And when it comes to sleep support, I know some patients like to use this for nightly podcasts. So if you have trouble falling asleep at night, they have different podcasts with sort of different sounds and vibes that you can kind of listen to. And the last one is healthy moving and living. So that's sort of based on incorporating that aspect of mindfulness into sort of running and walking and eating and whatever you do. And I guess I should mention, for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of mindfulness, we have tons and tons of YouTube videos on that as well that our Mindfulness Club has made on our YouTube channel for you to check out. But in general, the concept of mindfulness is really taking in the world around you and being aware of sort of yourself and your surroundings as a way to sort of develop that stronger sense of self-awareness, and often used a lot as sort of a stress reliever and a reflective kind of exercise. So Headspace actually has a website as well that you can go on to before downloading the app if you wanted to check them out. So you would just type in www.headspace.com. And on their website, they've got a bunch of different articles about meditation, about sleep, stress, and mindfulness. And you can see some topics here that I know patients like to look at. So, for example, how to be more grateful, or how to reduce anxiety, or how to fall back asleep, things like that. And all these articles are written by health professionals within the Headspace community, so you can assure that they are credible sources to get information from. And you can even see some of their latest articles here, such as around election anxiety or power napping, just some really small tidbits of topics that you can look into if you wanted to explore the website a bit. But in terms of downloading their app, you would essentially go onto the App Store, like I showed you previously, type in Headspace, and you'll be able to see the different features they have to offer. So, for example, this is just a sort of a bunch of different options that you have here. So they've got some running guided exercises, they've got some basic meditation, and they've also got those sleep casts or sleep podcasts that I know some patients like to use, which essentially are different recordings of different sounds that you can listen to if you have trouble falling asleep, for example. And there's hundreds and hundreds of more exercises for you to check out there. So this is the meditation one that I've tried and that I've really enjoyed. So when you go into the home page, you'll be able to click on meditation, and you'll be able to see here they've got a really great basics course that they have where they go through about 10 videos, and these 10 videos will take you through the process of mindfulness. And you can choose the length of the exercise. So say you wanted to do anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes if you just wanted to try it out quickly one day. And essentially you have this narrator talking to you and walking you through these meditation and breathing exercises. So it's been really, really useful for me, and I know for a lot of other patients to sort of get into mindfulness, and it's a great additional support for you. I just wanted to highlight here that there was a study done on Headspace and sort of its impacts on its users, and it found that, for example, it had a large impact on how individuals sort of went about their life. So the compassion was increased by 23%, reduced aggression, reduced stress, and increasing focus. And a lot of that does come from that meditation and mindfulness core concept that I think Headspace really focuses on. So I would really urge you to check it out. And if you have any troubles downloading it or navigating it, you can always reach out to us for some help on that.
I'm reaching out for some help here. So I often give my cell phone to somebody and they download things for me. So how do I know if I have the app already on my phone or not?
Yeah, great question. So if you go onto your I'm just going to pull up my phone as well so I can guide you through it. But if you're logging in and you're on your home page, essentially what you can do is if you're seeing your home page, you can swipe left on your home page, and it should a search bar should come up at the top. Do you see that there? So there should be a search bar that comes up, and you should be able to type in the name of the app that you are checking out. So for example, I would type in Headspace. And if you have the app already, it'll pop up and it'll prompt you to open it on your phone. And you can click open and it'll take you to Headspace and you'll know, okay, this is already on my phone. If you don't have it on your phone, it'll instead say something like view or get. And if it says that, it'll take you to the App Store where that app is offered, and you'll be able to download it that way. So that's a great way for you to quickly check whether you have it downloaded or not. I know I download quite a few apps, so sometimes I forget what's on my phone or it's hard to find. But that's one way. So you're on your home screen, you're swiping left, and you'll see the search bar at the top, and you're typing in the name of the app.
So I found out I didn't have the app, and I use my Apple ID. In fact, I share mine with my rest of our family. So an Apple ID, how many people can share an Apple ID, and when should you have your own? When should you share? How does that work?
Yeah, so Apple IDs can be quite confusing just because there are so many options. When it comes to sharing Apple IDs, I'm not completely sure on the number of individuals that can share it, but they have family Apple IDs that they've set up that it's at least minimum 4 people, I believe, that can go on and use it. I don't even think there is a limit to sort of using an Apple ID. If you know the email address that's being used for it and the password, you can actually go on to multiple devices and log in that way. And that's great too. If you wanted to share one Apple ID for the whole family, you're able to do that, and it's just less sort of information for you to remember. The only, I guess, option with having individual Apple IDs is sometimes what your iPhone will do is it'll actually sync things like your photos or your contacts to the Apple ID and to your iCloud, which is kind of like a drive where it stores all your information in. And so if you've got a family Apple ID, or if you've got multiple people sort of using that Apple ID, sometimes it can lead to multiple kind of information being clumped together on one, and it's a little bit less sort of customizable to the individual. But if you're just starting out with downloading apps, I would encourage you to first try out maybe another family member or another friend's Apple ID, just to play around with it and see how you like to navigate that.
So I just downloaded, and I just filled in a few questions, and I'm off and running. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, by the way, we say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. How about an app a day keeps the doctor away?
There you go. That's going to be our new technology catchphrase. I love it. With that being said, we'll move on to our next app, which will look at fitness.
Yeah, so with fitness apps, there are a ton of fitness apps out there, and it can be very confusing and difficult to know like which one is the best one and which one suits the needs that you want to do. So we'll be talking about the specific app Strava, which is a really, really popular and prominent like running and walking app. And we'll also be talking about a lot of other alternative fitness apps that there might be, so that you can pick and choose whichever one suits your needs the best. Yeah, so to start off, what is Strava? So Strava is an app that allows you to do three things: record your activity, find friends, and track progress. So how that works is Strava will use like a GPS tracker to actually track your location. So when you're walking or you're running or you're biking, or even if you're canoeing, it can track your GPS location and tell you how far you ran or how far you walked, and it can tell you the time that you did this in. Strava can also allow you to find clubs like running clubs or biking clubs around Hamilton, around wherever that you might be. And it can actually also help you find specific competitions. So if you're looking to do like a marathon, for example, you train really hard, you can use Strava to actually enter into one. And finally, Strava is great because it allows you to track your goals. So if you ran like 3 times this week, Strava can show all 3 of those runs for you, and it can display them in like a graph, so that it's there for you, and it's really easy to view, how well you've been doing that week, or if you're meeting your goals. So we're going to go over a little bit about how to use Strava. So we're going to start with the Strava website. So this is actually, if you just go to your browser and type in www.strava.com, it'll bring you here. And this is Strava. When the default home page for Strava is your dashboard. So if you can see right next to the Strava logo, you see the dashboard has a little orange line under it. That means that's the page that you're on. And on your dashboard, you can see a list of people that you're following. For example, my friend Victor, I can see his run that he did, as well as your own runs can also show up here as well. So this is kind of like a news feed. It's almost like a social media like Facebook or Twitter. So the dashboard on top over there, right next to the Strava logo, you can see that you got dashboard, training, explore, challenges. Those are all really important for you to be able to navigate Strava. So as you can see, if you press on training, what you get is a drop-down menu where you can see your activities. For example, the training tab tracks basically all the activities that you did. So for example, you can see on September 26th, I went for an afternoon bike ride. Clearly, I haven't been keeping up with my Strava. If you go to the next tab, Explore, these are the clubs that you can see. So, for example, you have cycling clubs that are around Oakville and Hamilton, and these are clubs that you can join, and there are also competitions that you can join. Yeah, and finally, we have challenges. So challenges are actually built in from Strava, and how it works is they'll set like a challenge. For example, this December 4x4 challenge, it's complete 4 days of activity for 4 weeks. And what if you do, if you complete this challenge, what you get is you actually get a nice little badge that shows that you did achieve this. So it's a little bit of a motivator, if you will. So now going on to Strava on the phone, which is typically how people use Strava, because when you're running, you want your phone with you, and you use your phone's GPS to track yourself while you're running. So when you open Strava, you can see that same dashboard again. You can see my friend Victor and his afternoon run, and it's the same kind of news feed that you might see on a social media. And if you want to start running and actually record your run, there's that button over there that's highlighted by the red circle. You press the record button and it brings you to this page. Yeah, and it brings you to this page where you can choose a sport. For example, if you want to run, if you want to ride, if you want to walk, if you want to hike, etc. You choose whatever you're doing, and then that leads you to the next page where you can see your position and you can press that button start, and that'll start recording your time. And you can see that little blue dot over there that represents you, and that's your GPS location. So you can see that once you finish or complete a ride or a run or whatever, you can press resume or you can press finish. So in this case, I paused it, which is why you have a resume button there. But you can press finish to finish your workout if you finish your workout. And that brings you to a saving page where you can basically save the activity to your account in Strava. And what you can do is you can enter a name, for example, afternoon ride, and then you can rate the exertion. You know, how hard that exertion, how hard your activity was. And once that's saved, you can actually, if you go to the next slide, if you press that back button and you press the button on the bottom dashboard, if you see there, it's highlighted in orange. It says profile. You can actually see the amount of activity that you've done over the week. So it's a way to track kind of your how much activity you've been doing, as well as like how fast, or if you're seeking to do like more competitive sports, you can check to see how intense your workouts were. Yeah, so that was fitness. That's an example of fitness app. There are a lot of alternative fitness apps that we'll be covering just a little bit later. But first I want to get into a nutrition app called MyFitnessPal. And MyFitnessPal is really unique because not only is it a nutrition app, it also kind of functions as a pseudo fitness app as well, because it takes into account the physical activity that you do. So to begin, what is MyFitnessPal? Well, MyFitnessPal, there are a lot of different functions in MyFitnessPal, and I think the most prominent one that most people use it for is for tracking calories and macros. Now, calories, of course, are the units of food energy that you intake, but macros, for those of you who might not know, is a split. So it represents your basic macronutrients, so your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins that you intake, and it shows in a nice little graph the amount of calories you take and the division between carbohydrates, fats, and proteins that you are intaking. And that can help you optimize weight loss, optimize nutrition, optimize if you're just tracking the food, what you want to be aiming your goals towards. MyFitnessPal is also great because it has a lot of really nice recipes for specific diets as well. For example, you have high protein diets, you have ketogenic diets, and there are a lot of great articles on MyFitnessPal that teach you some of the menus and some of the diet plans that you can make in order to achieve those goals if you want to follow any of those diets. And just like Strava and how it records like your running, MyFitnessPal is a calorie tracker, so it can record the amount of calories that you're intaking as well as the number of macros you're intaking. So it's a great way to see where you are at your goals, and you can look at your progression over time as well. Yeah, and finally, the last aspect is one of the most appealing aspects of MyFitnessPal. It gives you great access to a lot of different nutrients. So not just your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats, but also tells you things like if a product has like a high level of vitamin D, for example. So not even just all those macronutrients, it goes even deeper than that. And because of that specificity, MyFitnessPal is one of the most prominent, one of the most popular calorie tracking apps out there. Yeah, so going into how to use MyFitnessPal. So MyFitnessPal is something that you typically use on your phone. So when you're eating food or when you're preparing food, you take out your phone and then you can just track the amount of things that you're actually using as ingredients, and that goes into your MyFitnessPal. So what you want to do is you have an add button if you want to add food. That's in the red circle there. and then you press that plus button, and then you can press food. And then it asks you to choose whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snacks. And this division doesn't necessarily matter too much in terms of your tracking overall, but for the sake of it, we're going to press breakfast. And with breakfast, you can actually go and search for a food. So MyFitnessPal has like a really, really expansive database of foods that you can access. So, for example, you can even see like you have common foods like apple or eggs and cheese, but also you can see things like Big Mac as well as, Ruffles. Now, obviously these aren't healthy foods and you shouldn't be eating these, but you can see it actually demonstrate that MyFitnessPal also includes different types of fast foods as well as different types of like branded foods. So it's a really specific database. As well, if you don't have access to that specific food, you can always press that barcode button, and that leads you to, so you can see that you can actually just, if you don't have a food on MyFitnessPal and you can't find it, what you can do is you can just scan the barcode of whatever product you're using, and that adds that item into your list. So once you choose an item or scan an item, you see that Add Item tab that you have there. And once you press that check mark in the top right corner, you can see that it's tracked. So for example, now under breakfast, you can see crackers, multigrain, 90 calories, and you can see how that adds to your daily goal. So if it's a 2,200 calorie goal every day, you can subtract 90 calories of food from that, and then you can see how many calories you have remaining to eat for the rest of the day. There's also a lot of other functions on MyFitnessPal that are really fantastic. So if you could press the next slide. Yeah, so if you press the button, right there, the red circle, you can see that there's the 3-line button, and that leads to the drop-down menu that you see in the center there. And what happens is you see all of these different options: home, diary, progress, goals, challenges, nutrition. All of these, it might seem a little bit daunting, but they're actually very simple, and I'm going to take you through some of these. So you have diary, which basically tells you the amount of food that you ate on specific days. And then you have progress, which is what you see on your right-hand side. Progress, which shows your caloric intake across different time, so you can see your progression over time. And then you can actually set your goals under goals, and they're actually built-in challenges, just like Strava in MyFitnessPal, so you can achieve badges and achieve trophies and just like that. And then you have nutrition, which is one of the most commonly used tabs in MyFitnessPal. That shows you your daily view, it can show you your monthly view, and it can show you your weekly view, and it can show you the amount of calories that you intook, as well as your division between carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So that can help you optimize if you're looking to do like a ketogenic diet, for example. You want to be consuming not a lot of carbs and a lot of fats, so you can see how many macros that you're taking in, as well as the amount of calories that you're taking. And so there are a lot of alternative apps out there. So there are a lot of alternative fitness apps, but a lot of the fitness apps also include a lot of nutritional aspects, because fitness and nutrition really go hand in hand. And some of the apps that I want to talk about are the Fitbit app, Argus, Nike Plus Training Club, Charity Miles, Indomondo, and LifeSum. So to go through some of these apps, we have Fitbit. And Fitbit is a great app because it allows you to track your exercises, record your workouts, as well as log food and connect with friends and family. So it's a very multifaceted app. But unfortunately, the downside is you need a Fitbit, and that can be costly. A Fitbit being like a watch that you wear on your wrist all the time that can track your activity. So that's any type of fitness watch app. Can have more functionality, but it also comes at the expense of having to buy a fitness watch. Then you have Argus, and Argus is primarily used as a step counter and an activity counter, as well as a calorie counter. It's not 100% as comprehensive as Fitbit, but it's also free. So there's the advantage there. Then you have Nike Plus Training Club. So if you're not a big fan of Strava and you don't really enjoy running or walking, you can actually do at-home workouts. So Nike Plus Training Club is a great app because it guides you through a whole bunch of different at-home workouts based on your goal. So for example, if you want to get better mobility in your joints, then what you can do is you can take a nice yoga flow course that they have pre-planned for you on Nike Training Club. And if you want to, for example, get stronger, you can do an at-home full body workout that's also pre-planned for you on Nike Plus Training Club. All you have to do is just follow that workout. Then you have Charity Miles, and Charity Miles is a lot like Strava. It helps you track your running and your walking, but every mile and the distance that you run or you walk actually contributes to charity, which is fantastic. And then you have Endomondo, which is a really great all-around tool that's actually made by the same people as MyFitnessPal, but this has more of a workout focus than it does a nutritional one. And then you have LifeSum, which is a really great alternative calorie tracker that gives you actually personalized plans and nutritional advice depending on your goals.
So Frank, can you go back one side? I have a question for you. So I have my Fitbit. My rich wife has an Apple Watch. Other people have different ones. Is there a way that you can share this information to one source at all, or cause it's kind of nice if you can compare it to your friends, but it looks like everybody has to be on the same platform. Is there any way around that?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. I think for a lot of these apps, you can actually download it on different watches. For example, with the Apple Watch, you can download Strava on the Apple Watch, and you can use Strava on the Apple Watch as an alternative to your phone, and that actually can connect to your Strava account. So no matter if you're using your phone or your smartwatch, all that data goes to one central source, which is your Strava account, and you can access it all there. But for some of the other watches, like Fitbits, they're more proprietary, so they have their own apps, like the Fitbit app. And I'm not sure if you can connect them to Strava or not, but I know that the Fitbit app definitely is like one of the more proprietary ones. So it is a little bit more inconvenient to do like crosstalk with like an Apple Watch, something like that.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about some advanced technological devices. So there's been some amazing advances in recent memory with respects to personal devices, and a large part of the industry has targeted the sort of monitoring and improvement of health. And so a couple of devices I'm going to be talking about today include the Fitbit and the Apple Watch, both of which are smartwatches that have been advertised in high capacity towards tracking the wearer's health. On to the next slide. Thank you. So we're going to start off with the Fitbit, which manufactures multiple types of fitness monitors, and also has an associated app, as Frank mentioned, to track things like sleep and heart rate. And so you could sort of think of this to sort of touch on the compatibility thing. You could think of it as the antagonist to Apple devices. So Fitbit, in terms of additional features, aside from health-related features, they do support text messaging, but only with Android devices, whereas Apple watches support texting and calling, but only compatible with iPhones. Fitbit really emphasizes things like stress management, and even some of their less equipped trackers will remind you to meditate periodically. The Fitbit smartwatches, especially the higher-end ones, can detect EDA, or electrodermal activity, which may indicate a physiological response to stress. In this case, it does send a reminder to you to take a moment to de-stress and go through a guided meditation. Now, Fitbit also has heart rate metrics. It tracks your heart rate throughout the day, so whenever you're wearing it, you can just take a look at it and track your heart rate. And it also monitors heart rate variability, which is the time between each heartbeat, and it is also a possible indicator of your cardiovascular fitness. Lastly, With the Fitbit, there is the ECG app, which assesses for signs of atrial fibrillation. And if you go to the corresponding app on your phone, you can actually gain a copy of your ECG that you can use to help discuss with your physician if there's anything that pops up. On to the next slide. Now the Apple Watch. So the Apple Watch, as mentioned, is only compatible with Apple products, which it's the way Apple works. Now the main features of the Apple Watch in regards to health surround its ability to monitor your cardiac state. So the Apple Watch sends heart rate notifications when it detects an abnormally high or low heart rate. So for example, if you're inactive for a long period of time, maybe you're sitting down for around 10 minutes, but your heart rate is ridiculously high, it will send you a message describing what is being measured. So it might say, yeah, you've been sitting down for the last 10 minutes, and your heart rate is really high, here's the measurement. There's also the ECG app, which is really, really cool. I remember seeing it for the first time in Dr. Kearney's clinic with one of the patients, and I was pretty amazed by it. Like the Fitbit, the Apple Watch is able to record this ECG, and you can export it as a PDF for you to either print or keep on your device to share with Dr. Kearney. And the third main feature is the sending of irregular rhythm notifications, particularly pertaining to atrial fibrillation. So when there are signs of atrial fibrillation, a notification will appear on your Apple Watch and suggesting for you to contact your physician if you haven't already been diagnosed with AFib. Now, in terms of this, the validity of its of how it can track or measure AFib, there was a large-scale study conducted and published in the New England Journal of Medicine that assessed the Apple Watch's ability to identify AFib. And the positive predictive value, or PPE, is 0.84. So basically this means that when assessing atrial fibrillation in real time, the Apple Watch and its irregular pulse notification algorithm has an 84% chance of being concordant with the gold standard, which is an ECG strip. So it's quite, in terms of its technological capability, it's quite sound in its ability to, I guess, detect atrial fibrillation. On to the next slide. And that being said, learning technology can be a bit hard, and so that's why we're here to help. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always willing to support no matter where we are. We can always hop on a phone call. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us.
That was excellent. Can you backtrack one slide?
Yeah, no worries.
So one of the interesting things is that all this technology is evolving, and the question of how good it is. So you mentioned that the detection of atrial fibrillation. Just go back one more slide a bit, back over there. So when you're seeing atrial fibrillation, it's an irregular heartbeat. And here's an ECG from my office of one of the patients. Now this is actually a 12 ECG, so we look at 12 different waves of the heart. On this particular patient, is on a couple of the strips, it shows actually atrial fibrillation. Another strip, it shows sinus rhythm. Another strip, it suggests it's atrial flutter. So these are three different rhythms on a single ECG, which means that I wasn't clear what to do. And then we also did a 24-hour Holter monitor. And then when I found out about this whole thing, I knew exactly that this was atrial flutter. Now, the Apple Watch, or one of the other devices I like is that you didn't talk about, is called the cardiac device. So those have been actually FDA approved to look at things. And these things can sometimes make mistakes. I can make mistakes too as well, so we're just learning how to do this. So I think that's wonderful that we're seeing different things, like the Fitbits often give you just the heart rate. You're showing a new model that can actually detect atrial fibrillation. I don't know if it's approved for that indication or not, but I'm sure people are working at this. It's like, wow, lots is changing right now. So my advice to people who get these devices is they can be wrong. Anytime you can actually print out strips and bring them to me when you see me, it'd be great, because sometimes I have to do is mark them, different things of that nature as well. So I had a gentleman the other day that came in with 25 different strips at different times. That was wonderful. We can explore. I had another person who says, I want to email you some strips. I'd rather actually see you in person, talk to you, and figure out how this concept. And here's a person in my office that I actually had to take quite a bit of time to sort this out. So I still prefer conversations and recording strips. So this is fantastic. I love the Fitbit. I wish everybody can have that. And if you want, for those who'd like to, is that we do have a Fitbit channel where you can actually see my steps, go your steps, and things of that nature as well. What I like about Fitbit is I don't have to do anything. It just records. I just have to charge the battery every 3 to 4 days. It tells me about my sleeping patterns. According to Fitbit, I don't sleep very much. Average about 5 to 6 hours a night most nights. Last night, I think my sleep quality was like 71. I slept for 4 hours and change, which is not unusual. But seeing that, I find that this technology works if you learn how to use it better, and it's fantastic. So I encourage people for Christmas gifts is, help someone get started and look at this stuff and have fun with it.
Absolutely, thank you, Dr. Cornu. And yeah, just to reiterate again what Nicholas was saying, we understand that technology can be difficult. I know from talking to a lot of patients and a lot of volunteers that do the same, that there are a lot of challenges that come about with it, from things like forgetting your password to just all the different features that we've talked about today. It would be hard to say that it's not overwhelming, and it is. But with that being said, we encourage you to sort of approach these challenges with a more open mindset, and really think of them as opportunities to learn and to grow, because we've got such great features, great devices, great apps, a lot of these which are actually free of charge for you to use, and so they're great ways to really maximize your health goals and to personalize it towards you. And that goes for whatever goal you're working on. It doesn't have to be something specific. We've talked about, it can be meditation, it can be fitness, it can be really anything that you think will help you with your health based on the discussions that you've had at the clinic as well. There will be an app or a website or a video or a resource, I guarantee you, that will be able to help you for that. So if you are facing some challenges, if you are getting a little bit frustrated with all the technology around, we are here to help you. And you can get in touch with us. We do one-on-one calls. We can email you back and forth if that's easiest. Whatever it is, we're here to help. So please don't hesitate to ask those questions, to express that frustration. We do understand it. I totally understand that. So with that being said, that's kind of all we have to share with you today. But again, we really encourage you to stay in touch with us. I'll just leave the contact slide that's loading up here. So again, we've got our website up, and our YouTube channel where you can search up Greg Kernew, find all our videos, and then our Facebook and our Twitter like we talked about today, and of course the email address there as well in case you have any questions or concerns or any feedback for us if you want us to cover any other resource in the future.
First of all, there are times when our website gave a fatal error and it was down for a while. It's up and running. We're going to work on that. I do like this account called drkernew@232gmail.com. That goes to the main front desk where Jen and others can actually look at that, put information in your chart when it's appropriate, and some of us can actually look. I didn't realize how much activity we have on Twitter and on Facebook. Devanchi's actually set up a group for the Weight Loss Club, for instance. And, at the beginning of the year, Stuart put up times when we're going biking and playing tennis. But part of the problem is that if the weather changed or whatever, that was already out there and nobody knew. So I think we can use Twitter and Facebook to let people know. For instance, I got a few more phone calls to make, and then probably around 9:30, I'm going to head off to the stairs if someone wants to join me. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go to the stairs before our clinic at 7 o'clock, and probably tomorrow night after clinic, God knows when, I'll go do some more stairs too as well. So you can do 1 step, 2 steps. It was kind of fun during tonight's session. I was playing with my phone and trying different things, and I downloaded an app here, and I realized I had another app over here, and I'm going to forget this whole time. I see John Deacon's on the line here, and John is the guy that introduced me to technology. We used to go to the Apple computer store together, and At one time, we were there so many times that we used to go for sushi, and the people in the sushi place down there thought we worked for Apple, and they gave us the Apple discount. And we had a lot of fun when they had those training sessions in person. Those have changed. I've learned from everybody, and I forgot from everybody, and so this was actually wonderful. So one of the things, you can't break your computer. You can only turn it on and off, and if it doesn't work, just always reboot as the first starting point. And keep moving forward. And I think this is fantastic. Sonia and her team has made a whole series of videos on, first of all, is how to set up your own Gmail account. I just learned yesterday that from this phone I can print, and you can too as well. And I just learned so many different aspects of this. The problem is I'm not going to remember, and that's why this is recorded, and you can use this at any point in time. You can fast forward, rewind, so lots to learn. So, Stuart, are there any questions or comments from anybody out there? And thank you all for wonderful talks and presentations. I learned so much.
We did have a few questions. I was addressing them throughout the presentation. One question was whether LifeLabs was doing any COVID-19 tests. And I looked that up, and for anyone who is interested, select locations are doing COVID-19 tests for individuals who are symptomatic or asymptomatic. So if that is of interest to you, that should be a feature that you'll be able to find online, or even if you call them, they'll be able to likely tell you which locations are actually doing COVID-19 tests. Another individual asked whether there is a fee to register for LifeLabs, whether there's an annual fee, to which there isn't. So for LifeLabs, there's no fee to make an account, and oftentimes when it comes to the individual tests itself, in many instances they are covered under OHIP as well. We didn't have too many other questions beyond that. Most of them were specific for the blood work, so we've been able to address them, but I'm glad you asked so that we can get that out there as well for anyone who was interested or wondering and didn't see those questions.
So one of the softwares that we're going to be moving to is a company called Medios. Medios is a separate software that allows basically three features. One is email capabilities. So we can say through a secure platform, we can email your lab requisition form. Because right now in the past, we've been giving to the clinic before, but obviously with the pandemic, it's made that harder to come in and to get that to you. So sometimes we ask people to make extra copies of that. Other times we actually emailed them to the different labs. The problem is the labs can't find them, the labs close. So the best solution right now is if you have an email account, is that we can actually email you a lab requisition form. And if it needs to be modified, we can talk about that, but you're in control of that. My only plea to you is if you do blood work under my name, is that you call the clinic and let us know that you had blood work so we can review that with you. Because you now have the capabilities of doing blood work, and without actually having a discussion about that, I can't interpret the results without talking to you. So that's my plea to that. Number two is that many people say, well, I don't have a printer. Well, now I know there's many options. You can send it to somebody else to print for you. You can go to things like Staples or Walmart. You can get your own printer, and you can do this off an iPad, off your computer, and off your phone. So you can learn that. And I like still having paper. So right now you can't take the requisition on your phone and bring it to LifeLabs or Dynacare. Maybe that service will be available in the future. But right now they want a paper copy that's signed by your physician. And if it has a date, it's valid for 6 months. So there's so many ways of dealing with that right now. So many of the forms we have don't have a date on it. It has my signature electronically. So we're finding new solutions. And the next feature of Medios right now is that it can do these types of calls, sort of like FaceTiming you on a secure platform or Zooming, and it's embedded into Accurate, so it's very safe. The problem is our internet speed and capabilities of doing that is not sufficient right now to do that on a wide-scale basis. You need good internet for that to work, and that's getting better. There's a feature about booking online. We haven't used that feature yet, but we're looking at that. So, is that I never thought I would be emailing you a requisition. Now we can do that. Now, we never thought that you could actually print out your own requisition form. And I think that we spent a lot of time discussing about getting your results through either LifeLabs or Dynacare. They made those very user-friendly as best we can, and start using it and use other people to help you right now. And I think this is fantastic. And I want to say, listen, is that 2020 has been a very learning experience. I've learned so much, and I think we're all better and stronger. 2021, I think, is going to be a fantastic year because is great scientists and great drug companies have stepped up and has really developed a series of vaccines that look incredible. If you were to ask me a year ago, could we develop a coronavirus vaccine, which has never been done? Could you develop something called messenger RNA vaccine, which has never been done? It's been done. And now this technology is going to go to cancer therapy. So mRNA vaccines are now going to actually destroy cancer cells. And so this technology is evolving in many ways. So, and one of the things is that the best ways to prevent Alzheimer's disease right now is to be active, be skinny, but also learn new things. So watching TV, getting worried, getting nervous, gaining the COVID 10 pounds is killing you and shortening your life. So right now is that I've lost some weight. I'm encouraging you. We'll work together with this. I'm learning new technology. I'm hopefully developing new neurons into my brain to preserve my my memory lasts longer. And you can do that too as well. So exciting times. Scary times too, but we're getting better. We're getting stronger, and so are you. So I want to wish everybody a very festive and small bubble happy holidays. I was hoping to go to BC and visit my daughter at a ski resort, but that's off the cards at this stage. But as soon as it becomes safe, Jenna, we're going to go visit you and go snowboarding together. I don't know when that time will be. But I'm going to spend a lot of time learning this technology, improving on this, and I think 2021 is going to be a fantastic year for all of us. And we'll talk, and we're going to actually talk about the vaccines and what to look for, what we learn about this right now. Because just yesterday, I met a family of 4 that got COVID, and some good things and bad things happened to that family. So we'll share that with you and how you can protect yourself. So. Stuart, I'll give you the last word.
Great, thank you, everyone. Great work, everyone. I think it was a fantastic webinar. I think it was beautifully paced, and there was a lot of information. I want to remind everyone who's watching this in the future that you can always pause, you can always rewatch, you can always watch this alongside trying to sign up through various apps or signing up for LifeLabs, Dynacare, making a Facebook page. We wanted to go nice and slow for you all so that you actually understood every single step for how to actually make an account. And like anything, getting started is often the hardest part. So making an account can often be a little bit confusing, especially with so many passwords that you're going to be creating. So if I could heed any advice here that we haven't mentioned, I would recommend that if you can, to keep a book where you can keep all of your usernames and passwords in one place, so that if you ever forget one of the passwords or you're not automatically signed into your account, you can always just quickly look at the book and type in your username and password. I think that saved me a lot of time in the future, and I think that also keeps you more inclined to keep on using the apps, because if you end up forgetting the password, you might never go back to it. So I would recommend keeping a book in one place where you can keep all your usernames and passwords, and then you can really get started on all of these different apps that we showed you. A lot of work goes into all these apps to make them as intuitive as possible, but of course they are a little bit daunting at times. So if you do have any questions, we've mentioned it a few times, but we encourage you to reach out to us. We have our email listed there if you ever want to reach out to us and request any additional help, and we'll be happy to serve you. So with that, I'll say goodnight to everyone. We don't anticipate having a webinar next Friday because it will be Christmas Day. But we do want to wish everyone a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, however you're celebrating, please be safe, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Have a safe holiday. Get better, get stronger, and I want to thank the whole team. I'm really proud of the team in the office that kept us going through this pandemic, and I thank you all for learning, getting better, and of course all these younger people that have just made this our clinic, your clinic, and your learning such a wonderful place. Without this teamwork, we could not do this, and I'm so grateful for everybody. That I had the chance to be involved with, and I look forward to next year. And I wish everybody a safe, happy, and not too many calorie holiday and more exercise. Be safe, and we'll be better next year. All of us. I'm just sure next year's gonna be a great year.